Alright everyone, we just had our PlayStation 5 reveal event. We've got game announcements, we've got the console design, we've got a product lineup, we've got a glimpse of the UI. Sony showed us a lot today, so let's go over every single announcement that happened, and of course do a general impressions of the event. So without wasting any of your time, we'll go over every single announcement in the order that it showed up, and Sony started off with a montage of PS4 content. They love their montages, and they did this with the PS4 reveal. They do this all the time, really, with any trade show and whatnot, but montage here. Then they open with GTA 5 expanded and enhanced 2021 coming to PlayStation 5, and PS5 owners with PS Plus will get GTA Online for free at launch when the game launches, so very cool there. And if you're a PS4 owner right now and you have the game, if you play GTA Online, you get $1 million in GTA Online cash, so pretty cool little tie in there. Jim Ryan opens up with a formal introduction. The president and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, very excited about PlayStation 5. We get our first game announcement, Spider-Man Miles Morales on PS5, holiday 2020. So we have no context right here in terms of what this is, just a new entry for Spider-Man. I'm guessing this might be kind of like a, I don't know, like a Persona 5 Royals situation where it's principally the same game, but just a lot of changed up content. There's still a pretty quick turnaround there. They shipped Spider-Man 2018, so don't have all the details right now. Kazunori Yamauchi of Pliffy Digital shares details on the next game. Gran Turismo 7 is announced. They show off some menus. They show off some gameplay. Pretty cool here. Uninterrupted gameplay, which is very important. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is next. A brand new entry built from the ground up for PlayStation 5. We see a female Lombax. We've got ray trace reflections, world traveling. The SSD is really being flexed here with the world jumping. We'll talk about that later. Screenix is up next with a project called Project Athia, designed exclusively for PlayStation 5. Not a whole lot of context here. It looks beautiful, but really don't have a whole lot of information right now. Then we get a trailer for Stray. This is coming 2021. Looks like you're a beautiful little kitty cat on your own, walking through an all robotic type universe. Then we have some B-roll of the DualSense. Looks very cool. You'll see this throughout the show, but they kind of tease this room here, all these product shots. Then we go to Herman Hulst, the head of PlayStation Studios, introducing new franchises announced from PlayStation Studios. And we start off with Housemarque, Returnal. So this is a third-person space shooter with aliens and stuff. Now, preface this by stating that we don't necessarily know if Housemarque has joined PlayStation Studios. PlayStation Studios can still be a second-party game. So as I'm filming this right now, I don't have this confirmed, but this could be a situation where maybe these studios have been acquired, and they'll announce that on the PS blog after I've filmed this. We got Sackboy, A Big Adventure. So this is a new spin-off from the LBP franchise, and looks a lot like Mario 3D World, actually. The formula is pretty much there, beat for beat, but looks interesting. Then we have Destruction All-Stars, which can be best described as a mix of Fortnite and Twisted Metal. Then we go on to Ember Labs. They're here to announce Kena, Bridge of Spirits. This is a gorgeous-looking platformer. I really like what's going on here. It's important to note that all this footage was captured from the live stream, which is 1080p, highly compressed. You're going to want to see all these trailers on Sony's channel, at least where they're going to be native 4K. But even that is compressed, so I'd imagine these games look very good. Then we have a trailer for Goodbye Volcano High. This is coming 2021. Looks a lot like an anime dinosaurs version of Night in the Woods, but I'm picking up what they're laying down here. I think it looks pretty cool. Lauren Lanning opens the next presentation with his latest project, Oddworld Soulstorm. So we got an Oddworld game. If you're a fan of that franchise, you're going to be excited about that. Shinji Mikami is next to show gameplay for Ghostwire Tokyo. So this was previously announced before, but we see some very cool supernatural first-person mechanics at play here, coming 2021. Jet the Far Shore. This is coming holiday 2020, so we don't have a whole lot to go on with this game. Very ominous looking, I guess I could say that. Then we get a Godfall trailer. Actually, full-on gameplay. This looks like it's running on a PS5 dev kit. I believe that's what they put there in the trailer. Looks varied, so there's a lot of color, a lot of different environments, still coming holiday 2020, but nice to see some gameplay here. We had Godfall gameplay previously that was pre-alpha PC footage, so this looks cleaned up. Solar Ash is announced. This is a very colorful looking platformer. This is coming 2021. Then we have Hitman 3 coming January 2021. So this is a cinematic trailer, but looks very good. Then we get a glimpse of the PS5 UI. A glimpse. This is very clearly the UI. You press the PlayStation button, and then they cut away to Astrobot, a playroom game for PlayStation 5. So nice to see that the Astrobot franchise is still living on. I like platformers a lot, so I'm loving the platformer love here. Little Devil Inside is announced. This has more of a papercraft looking approach. There's a lot going on in this trailer, a lot of different scenes at play, so not sure what's going on. NBA 2K21 is coming fall 2020, running on a PlayStation 5 dev kit. Looks impressive, but it's not really your typical slice of gameplay. Then Bug Snacks coming holiday 2020. This is from the same creators of Octodad, so a very quirky looking game where you're eating a bunch of the fruits and bugs walking around the environment. Then we get our Demon's Souls remake announced from Bluepoint Games, collaboration with Japan Studio. We were all expecting this to be here, so it's nice to see that it is here. Looks really, I think that they did a great job, but of course it's not really our typical slice of gameplay that we're looking for. Then Bethesda and Arcane Studios shows gameplay for Deathloop. So this is a game about rival assassins in a never-ending loop. Interesting idea. I'd like to see more of this. Then we get Resident Evil 8 Village coming 2021. So this was one of our last-minute predictions that we added in. Seems like a lot of rumors were pointing towards this being here, and sure enough it is. We've got like some wolf vampire type stuff going on here. Pragmata announced. This is a dystopian sci-fi game coming holiday 2020. And then Horizon 2 Forbidden West is announced. New lands. You're uncovering landmarks, famous landmarks in the West. You can swim underwater. There's tons of new enemies. This game looks really gorgeous. But unfortunately, we don't get any normal look of like uninterrupted gameplay or anything like that. More of a cinematic trailer. Then we have an outro of developers talking about PlayStation 5, how great it is. And then we get a very big tease into the console design. And surprisingly, we have 2 models to choose from here. A regular PlayStation 5 with a disc drive and a digital edition only model. We also get a product lineup. We see a Pulse 3D headset, remote, camera, a charging station, all very much trying to keep the design characteristics here in line with all these products. Then we get a montage of games, and then we see what looks to be a new slogan called Play has no limit. So I'm assuming that is Sony's new slogan going into the next generation of consoles. And there you have it. Those are all the announcements, heavily condensed for this PlayStation 5 event. See the future. Wow, let's really unpackage this thing. First off, I think it's surprising that we did not see the Silent Hill reboot, that soft reboot. We had a lot of rumors pointing towards that, and it's one of those things where we can never say with certainty that, this rumor showed up, so of course it's true, or of course it's going to be there. But when we have so many different rumors from multiple sources, you kind of have to lend itself to think that it's going to be here. And so that was surprising. But when we're talking about rumors, Demon's Souls is there. Glad to see that. So many people were still wondering what Bluepoint was doing, as if we didn't have so many rumors heavily pointing towards that. So that's not really a surprise. More than anything else, it's nice to see it finally. Horizon 2 does look absolutely gorgeous. Actually, if we could dial back a bit and go to Ratchet and Clank. So this is a game that, out of all these, I think there's obviously a case here for how long we've been talking about PlayStation 5's potential power, of course, how SSDs change game design, and so it's very difficult to have this conversation because these are just trailers, and a lot of them were cinematic, which we were hoping most of these would actually be gameplay. And it's nice that we got a lot of gameplay, but there was more cinematic trailers than I would have liked to see. But either way, Ratchet and Clank so far I think was a pretty good showcase here. There's a lot going on in that gameplay slice that we saw. Mostly particle effects, which can be very intensive on hardware, but I implore you to probably go watch the 4K version of this gameplay clip on Sony's channel so you can get a better look of how visually stunning it is, and that works to Ratchet's advantage because it's not your typical visually demanding game, right? It's it's got a very cartoon-looking profile. That's always been what Ratchet and Clank looks like. But the world jumping is the biggest takeaway here. It's called Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart because you're jumping through these portals, these rifts, and you're entering a completely new environment, a new world, different level design, and that is very much them leveraging the SSD in their favor, where they can do something like that, right? This would probably be very problematic for certain games, and this is as basic as something like fast travel, right? Where a game doesn't even have to be designed around the aspect of entering different game environments so quickly. Games just have fast travel, and that's what that is. You're moving from one environment to the other where things can look a lot different, so you have to bring in all these different assets and load the level in ideally a quick manner, but that's always been the problem. Fast travel is never truly fast, but this game's actually designed around the aspect of jumping through different environments, and you can see just how quick and fluid that motion is through the portal. The whole level really come in, and there's no hiccups, no major problems that we initially saw, or at least from what I initially saw. I'm sure Digital Foundry is going to have some amazing breakdowns on these trailers, and they can give you a lot more insight than I can at surface value. But that certainly looks like probably the best showcase so far of how PlayStation first party, Sony first party, is really going to take advantage of using a lot of the speed I/O for the SSD. Nice to see Gran Turismo 7. That was another one that we were expecting here. This is something where if you don't care about Gran Turismo, then well, you don't care, so this was probably boring footage for you, but I appreciate the fact that, and I'm not even a Gran Turismo fan, but I appreciate seeing uninterrupted gameplay. So, you know, it started off with a cool little cinematic trailer, but then they show you, what, like minute and a half of just straight racing, and so you can just, you know, take that in if you're a fan of that franchise and you want to see that. So that was great to have. I'm also very pleased to see that they struck a good balance between showcasing big budget titles and smaller scale games. You know, this is something that Microsoft, of course, saw a lot of backlash from their initial showcase of games on Series X, where it was a lot of a lot of people call it, mid-tier styled games, where there's certainly much a larger budget than your typical independent game or smaller scale game that you'd see on Xbox Live or the PlayStation Network storefront. But, you know, they kind of hyped it up a bit too much, saying, you know, come see next generation games, come see the power of Series X, and then obviously those are games that are not really flexing the power of Series X to its, you know, to its limits or its capabilities. But this is a showcase, I think, that at least struck a good balance, right? And it's funny because we were expecting maybe it's just going to be nothing but big budget games. Maybe it won't be a lot of cinematic trailers. Maybe it won't be a bunch of teasers, because we kept hearing that Sony wanted to showcase a lot of games that are running on PlayStation 5 hardware. They wanted to avoid, you know, having to put disclaimers that, hey, this is PC footage or this is target PS5 footage. But in reality, it was a little bit of everything. We got uninterrupted gameplay. We got cinematic trailers. We got, I guess, what you'd consider teasers, right? Certainly something where you see projects that are over a year out and you don't see gameplay or anything like that. Then we have the mix of smaller scale games, right? And that's what I've always loved, at least about PlayStation, is they like to showcase some of these smaller games, but they do it in such a way where I've never felt they throw it down your throat. Obviously, people can get pretty cynical if they're just looking for the big stuff, but I think it's still important to have these games have a voice, have a presence. You can't do an hour-long show with them, of course, but you can stick them in between some announcements, and they certainly pique your interest, right? If it is something that, hey, you know, maybe that does look like something that I could really get down with or enjoy. And I love this different approach to games. That's what I love about smaller scale games. I wish it was more commonplace in bigger budget titles, but either way, I think it was a good balance here, and I just didn't expect it, so I'm glad to see that here. Now, in terms of the console design, so this is something where, wow, really bold, and I don't know, my gut reaction is I think it looks very nice, and I think that actually speaks a lot to the fact that, I don't know when I said this, but you might remember it was a recent Let's Talk PlayStation, but whenever we see the console design, I did anticipate that a lot of people won't like it, because everybody has an idea in their head of what it will look like, and it's not going to be what you think. Just more often than not, it's not going to be what you think, especially because of all the mock-ups that are out there. People always had this idea of what the hardware looks like, and I thought, whatever it does look like, people are not going to like it. It happens every single product unveil, not just in games, but everywhere, really. But I think this is actually such a bold, and I don't want to say innovative, but it's different in a good way. I think it is very much futuristic looking. And it very much fits the design language of the DualSense. That is something that we totally had to pick up on when we saw the DualSense. It was a pretty radical departure from PlayStation, you know, typical design language, and that was something where it's like, okay, we've got a two-toned color controller. Well, this is obviously going to carry over to the console. It has to. Otherwise, it would just look weird. So we have a two-toned console. We have a white machine with some black accents. You got the blue LEDs on there to, you know, really give it that Detroit Become Human look. I like it a lot. I haven't, of course, read any reactions. This is a video where you're getting it right after the reveal. So I don't know what people are really saying about it just yet. But my gut reaction is I think most people are probably going to warm up to it more than we've seen previously. They either initially like it or they, you know, might be put off, but over time they'll like it. And then we have the product lineup, right? This is something that I really didn't expect. Not a huge announcement, but we see, you know, a line of products like the charging dock, a camera. That's actually probably the most surprising thing here is that there's still a camera involved. That'll probably be a part of PlayStation VR 2, whatever that ends up looking like. So probably there for more redundancy because PSVR 2 will probably also have cameras on the headset that point outward into your play area. And then the digital-only machine, so no disk drive. This is probably the most surprising announcement out of all this. We've not had a single rumor regarding this, and we actually got this before Lockhart, Microsoft's Lockhart. We had rumors actually regarding Microsoft doing a lower, well, a high, you would assume a higher volume production box that is a lower price, that might not have a disk drive, focused on digital only, focused on Game Pass, you know, all their initiatives. But we're still expecting a Lockhart machine, and yet here on the PlayStation side of things, we got a digital only machine. We saw a lot of PlayStation studios, and it's important to note that we actually got a good view of the horizon beyond not just holiday 2020, but 2021. Very important that we learn about that first year and not just the first month to 2 months, right? We have to see how do you validate a purchase to a consumer, right? Show them the horizon of games that'll be available on this system. And that's great because there's still so much more at play here for the rest of Sony's PlayStation studios, where they have more developers that have wrapped up recent PS4 projects, and they will be coming 2022, 2023. We'll see those games very soon, and we'll see PlayStation VR probably a year from now. I don't think we'll talk about that anytime soon. But otherwise, those are my initial gut reactions to the ending of this event. Thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't yet, of course, please subscribe for the best PlayStation news, reviews, and updates that are here on YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter at Mystic Ryan, and we'll be here tomorrow for another video. Let's talk PlayStation. We'll cover up any details that I might have missed. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of information flowing after this event, so I can't talk about them here as I'm filming this, but we'll do that tomorrow, and I will see you then. You take it easy.